Hola, y estamos de regreso con nuestros oyentes de Radio Latino INC y de Mujeres y Yo. Yo soy Juliana Betancourth y como lo prometido es deuda, tenemos a nuestros invitados del día. Yo creo que algunos me están entendiendo, otros no. We're just gonna start this session with English language because, you know, Latinos, we speak English as well. So that's the fabulous think about Radio Latino Inc. That we can just go from English to Spanish to Spanglish, maybe Chinese later a little bit. We're gonna try. Okay, I want you to welcome our guest from the day today. First of all, Jan Lizer. She's the Director of Strategic Partnership of Epoch Times. How are you, Jan?
Very good. Thank you, Juliana. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah. And we have Siyamak Khorrami, General Manager for Epoch Times, Southern California. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, Dr. Dana, welcome again to this, your house, your home. We're happy to have you here. Of course, we're going to talk about very interesting topics today. So get ready, guys, because this is going to be very, very interesting. So let's start today. What is Epoch Times? Because people is wondering, what is it?
So Epoch Times is a media group, is a media company that started with the mission of telling the truth and bringing traditional values back to media. The old school journalism, the objective journalism, we're trying to bring those back.
To bring the real... Yeah,
the real journalism.
The real. When did it start?
So the story is very interesting. It started in 2001.
Okay.
Originally, it started in the Chinese language.
In Chinese language.
To tell the truth to Chinese people.
Okay.
Because the founder, there was when the Tiananmen Square massacre happened in China, it didn't get reported at all. A lot of students died because they were fighting for freedom in China and nobody really reported it in the Chinese language. And there is a spiritual practice called Falun Dafa, Falun Gong. Is about living by truth, compassion, and tolerance, and 5 exercises, kind of like Tai Chi. It came to public in the 90s and in China and became very popular. A lot of people started doing it, and they were changing the society by their way of doing things and being kind to others and putting others first. And what was happening, this movement grew really fast. And the founder of this practice became the most popular person in China. At that time, picture the president of China being a communist country, he could not see that, so he wanted to eliminate this practice. And it started a persecution, a very harsh persecution toward this practice.
It was from intense jealousy, if you can believe that, intense jealousy. To just try to destroy something so beautiful. It could have helped the country, helped all the people there.
Like all that happens now in the world, you know.
Yeah, and in the beginning, the Chinese government liked the practice a lot because people were becoming healthy, and it would cost them a lot less in the healthcare, and they could see the impact on people. But then later on, somehow this, it's a sad thing that this started. But long story short, what happened was, at that time, the Chinese media started demonizing the practice and the people that do the practice by creating a lot of fake news. So our founder was Chinese American. He had seen the Tiananmen Square massacre, and he actually was a Falun Dafa practitioner himself. So he was doing the spiritual practice, and he saw enough is enough. We need to have an outlet that can tell the truth to Chinese people.
Let me just interject real quick. So the really big problem was that the Chinese media was demonizing Falun Gong, but then the other media around the world didn't know anything else, so they just accepted what the Chinese media said and broadcast it all over the world.
Yeah.
And that's when the founder said, we have to do something to counter that.
Yeah, and that's how we started other languages. From there, first we started Chinese, and then after that we realized that other language medias, like in the English language, people are not willing to tell certain truth. It's like there's certain boundaries that people live by, and we saw an opportunity that we should cover certain stories that others are not willing to cover. That's how our other languages, the English language, started.
I guess it was very dangerous, no, at the beginning, because it's like... I mean, we're talking about even the life of someone, you know? It's just you need to protect yourself if you want to do this kind of heroic things. You know what I
Well, the
mean?
paper exposed things that saved lives in China, a lot of lives, like the SARS epidemic. Nobody was going to say a word about that, and a lot of people were dying from that really bad respiratory disease. And the paper was the one that broke it. And the tainted milk, there was melon in milk that was going to all the babies because the company was cutting corners and putting chemicals in the milk. And then the earthquake that knocked down the schools. All the school buildings fell down, but all the Communist Party and the buildings like that, they all stayed up. The corporate buildings stayed standing, and all the kids died. And then they weren't going to tell anybody about it. So we exposed all those crimes.
So after Chinese, you go to English. How many languages do you have right now?
We have about 21 languages now.
21 languages now.
And so what to tell you the story during the Chinese, because you're saying it's dangerous, we saw a lot of challenges during the process.
Yeah.
Of course,
So
you must know.
We constantly
Who wouldn't like to be I want to tell the truth, but I just care a lot about myself.
So we have been hacked a lot,
Wow.
and we in the beginning, like when we sold advertisement, if a business bought our advertisement and if it was a Chinese business, in the beginning for the Chinese paper, it was all Chinese language, and people would get a call from the Chinese embassy threatening them. Are you going to go back to China? And they would threaten them to not work with us.
Wow.
But a lot of people supported us during the time, and they stood with us. And
That's great.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Brave people, because
Yeah.
if I get a call, I'll be like, okay, sorry, guys. No, I'm just joking, just joking. That's why you're
You'll be
heroes.
okay.
That's why
Yeah.
I find so much value in what you're doing right now, and to be here and to expose all the truth that you want to tell to the world.
Yeah.
Because we're tired, as you said before. We're tired of the fake news, of that all of this, like we say in Spanish, amarillismo. Like, it's like, do you understand?
No,
that?
I don't know this one, but that's good for
Amarillismo
me.
is like something like a yellow juice, whatever. That it means like they just want to show the blood and everything just to sell more. You know what I mean? So we don't know that. We don't need that. We need the truth, even if it's worst. Even if it's, it generates more impact on it. So what is the idea with Epoch Time? Where are you going now? What's next? What support do you need from community, from sponsors?
We want to have Epoch Times be the main news channel that people go to see the truth. And what we need, we're getting already a lot of good feedback in the community. We are getting, what we need is more subscriptions. Of course, that would be very helpful. People spreading the word. A lot of people that get subscribed to our paper, they're taking it to their friends, or they're cutting different articles, or sometimes there's fights over them, which is funny. Couples like, and
so they fight for it.
yeah, like who's reading them, and so if people can spread the word and subscribe to us, and they can also donate to us. One other thing is this organization is nonprofit. We're not doing this for ourselves. We whatever we generate revenue we get from the paper, it goes back.
I believe you. There is better ways to get money. If the purpose is to make money, you don't need to expose yourself in this way. So I believe that. So you can subscribe for the newspaper, but also in the media platform, you can access to all of this news.
Yes, you can go online and you can access. Right now, it's open. You can go to the website and you can access a lot of the news. Later on, we may have a paywall down the line.
Yeah. And you can access to all the news that you find in the newspaper, or some of them.
So online you can access to all of them, but when you get the newspaper, the newspaper content is selected, so it's the best that's going into the paper.
Okay.
So you'll see, if you wanted to see the best of our articles, you'll see it in the paper. It's all selected.
And then it's so good to go back to the paper, no? Like just to have it with you everywhere.
Real paper.
Yeah.
It makes you look cool, guys.
And it's also educational. So like one thing to think about, people say paper is old school, but if you think about education, this is the type of material that would educate you. When you have time to sit down and spend a 20-minute, 30-minute to read a few articles, it's kind of like reading a book. It's you can grasp a lot of good information out of it. than just seeing something on your phone really quick for like 5 minutes.
It
Yeah.
stays in a different way, no?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get
It makes
the
you relax
information
to
at
sit down
different-
too. With the paper, it's different. The phone's like,
Yeah, you just go to another. In that
Yeah.
moment, you receive a WhatsApp notification and you're just lost.
Yeah.
Tell
That's
them
it.
about the digital marketing and all the
Yeah.
Epoch Media group. too.
So the reason that now the progress that we've had, the reason that we have been able to invest in the paper, because it takes a lot of investment to grow an operation like this, and we're growing it nationwide, is that we had a lot of success with our digital operations, and we on Facebook we're the #1 publisher. We have a lot of entertainment content. We have funny content.
Millions, yeah.
We have 188 million followers on Facebook now.
Wow, that's a lot.
In the last 2 years.
Yeah, 6 billion page
Wow.
views a month approximately now.
6
Billion
billion.
with all of it.
Video
Yeah.
views.
Video views.
Yeah.
6 billion video
Per
views.
month.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's, we're talking about something
from
here.
trust.
That's
this
number.
is built
Yeah.
trust with
Yeah.
people. That's why you can see.
People
it's-
really want to
Yeah.
know the truth.
And the Chinese
really.
media is, if you look on the graph, you have these little spikes of the other media, and you look at the end, it's like this, literally. It's a giant Goliath.
Wow.
It's overtaken all Chinese media in the world.
And
So-
you can guarantee that the news are real, the news are
Every
truth.
story,
Like
yeah.
you have your journalists going, investigating and everything, and you're not just copying the news from some other media.
Yeah, and what we have to do is the process of bringing a journalist on board itself is a long process. They have to watch a lot of materials. They have to go through a significant amount of training to know what's true and what's not. Because when you see a news, there's a lot of bias already built in a lot of. If you're working with different news organizations that will get you the information, you have to be able to read through, find out what's true, what's not, and then do the investigative research.
Yeah, because what you see right now, and there is been like some examples of it. Someone just put out an fake news with the intention to see what happens,
Right.
and then the fake news is everywhere in the world in many
Yeah.
languages, and they're like, okay, I just make this up,
Yeah.
and now you're having this as a new in the biggest media
Yeah.
platforms in the
Yeah.
world,
Right.
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
So that must be like a challenge for
Or
you
the,
to
or the
get
stories
rid
will
of
be
all of.
skewed, not just fake, but say some of the other maybe
Oh yes.
different media will skew
They just
articles.
add a little
and-
bit,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
gossip, you know, when
Yeah.
you say
Right,
gossip.
like drama, because you can see there's an agenda. Like they can't just report the news. They
Yeah.
they're angry or whatever. I don't know. They're trying to help some cause, but that's not news though.
Yeah, I can see in this newspaper that you brought that is Donald Trump. I want to see what news it is about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like he's in all the news right
Yeah.
now, but most of them they're just like
So-
talking about his hair or whatever.
Yeah,
that is
so
not
what
really
we're trying
relevant.
to do there, we're trying to take the drama out of it and really for people to know what he's doing instead of talking about when I watched
Yeah.
this North Korea deal, people were talking about how the handshake was.
Yeah.
Did he win the handshake or not win the handshake? You know? What
Oh
does
my
this
God.
mean
Yeah.
for us? That's a deeper, much
It's
deeper.
much deeper. It's a lot going on, and you care about it.
Well, just the fact that North Korea came here or came to the meeting with our president, I think that's a monumental undertaking. I mean, 2-3 months ago, they have missiles pointed all over the world. You know, that's pretty amazing. That fast happened. So,
There's a lot of things going on. I was asking you before for what kind of news have you put out there that have been like the most impactful, like the most impactful.
So one of the ones that we do a lot of these type of investigative journalism, probably once a week we have something really good, if not maybe even daily. But one of the ones that I can highlight right now is that we have highlighted the China's secret war against U.S. And there has been a growing influence of China into the U.S. and communism here. We're very good at highlighting the socialist communist movement here.
Okay.
It's active, it's happening here. So like one of the examples I can give you is that censorship is coming to here, to Hollywood. So like if you're an actor and you support free Tibet, the chances of you getting hired for a movie is a lot less because because the Chinese, if you want to show that movie to Chinese, the Chinese would not allow it. So chances are, if you talk about those things as an actor, you're going to make your career shorter.
Oh my God! So I don't want to talk about anything now.
or like,
Don't make me in troubles, guys.
No, well, the world is changing. So
I have a huge opportunity in China.
Oh, be careful.
So
It's okay. It's okay. We're here to talk about the truth. So we support you guys.
it's good. So then the other thing is you can always work with us. That's
Much better.
Come out of the closet.
Much better offer.
the other one is the education system. So like we have seen a lot of the Chinese government have direct influence into that to the universities. So what they're doing is they're donating $1 million, a couple of $1 million to certain universities, and then they create these Confucius centers. And these Confucius centers are supposed to spread the Chinese culture. That's how they come in. But they're really monitoring all the Chinese students that are on campus.
Spying on them.
And they are controlled by the embassies or consulates. And they are in a lot of universities. Like if I show you the list, sometimes they're even in high schools, which is very, very strange. And so there's been a couple of documentaries on what these Confucius centers are doing, and they're not really doing anything cultural. They are supposed to be promoting the Chinese culture, but they're not. Yeah, they're not.
Some are getting shut down,
controlling.
actually.
Yeah.
Some are being shut down as we speak right now because of what they're doing. So people are starting to wake up and see.
And we need to wake up.
Yeah. So then on the other aspects, so like for example, the Russia collusion with Trump, we did a deep investigation into it, and we realized that never happened. There's no Russia collusion with Trump. But there's a lot of the media that's still trying to prove that. It's been going on forever. But we did a lot of investigation into it a few months ago, and we made a few articles about
It
this.
must be super expensive to have all of these people working to get this information, because it's also dangerous to get into that, and it requires a lot of hours to do all of this.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
You were talking also about the organ trafficking.
Absolutely.
Well, that I was very shocked about
Yeah.
that news. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe you put this out there.
Sure. So what happened was when the Falun Dafa practice came to public and grew, when it got to 100 million people and it got persecuted, at the time of persecution, there was about almost 1 million people that got arrested. And these people were put in labor camps in China. And in 2006, someone came to public and said, someone ran away from the hospital system, said that they were doing organ harvesting to the prisoners of conscience, to these people.
There was a woman we nicknamed her Annie, and she had a husband who was an eye surgeon and a neurologist, and he took out 2,000 corneas while the practitioners were alive, blinded them. Then they went and sent the bodies elsewhere, took the rest of the organs, burned the bodies. But the 2,000 corneas, her husband would get these clandestine calls in the middle of the night, and he would just disappear. And he had a mental breakdown because what he was doing was so horrible. He couldn't, and he told his wife what he was doing. And she came, and we brought her in front of the Senate subcommittee, and we told all the government officials. So that was the first one that broke the news. There was multiple people after that started stepping forward, like high-ranking officials, surgeons. There's a journalist from was working in China at the time, Ethan Gutman, who's got a book now. I work on the team to try to stop that.
So
That's
what?
just like crazy. It's worse than a
it's
horror
evil.
movie.
Yeah,
It's evil.
it's
It's
insane.
evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what to clarify the story is what they did is they had these 800,000 to 1 million people in labor camps, and they and this is the Chinese government. They would one day they would torture them, another day they would test them, and people didn't know what was going on. They were really testing them to find out if their organs are healthy.
Blood tests.
And then people from
Urine.
here and other countries, they would go to China, they would get a transplant, and they didn't know. People from here thought this is somebody that's donating their kidney and they were paying for it.
And they said it was from prisoners, but it wasn't. We figured.
It's not
No.
prisoners.
Yeah, they said and then the Chinese government's...
And even that is like...
There wasn't
It's-
enough.
even
prisoners
that
for
is
the
not-
Even
amount.
that,
Yeah.
whoever is, you cannot
Yeah.
do that to someone.
Right, that's
It's
illegal
just-
as well.
that's-
kill
yeah.
them
too,
but the fact has been that all the work we've done on this, and we've got a lot of awards for it, but most of the other media, they're usually not covering
won't
this.
touch it.
They won't touch it. Or if they do report on it, even though when we had the House resolution passed last year on this
Yeah,
issue,
the government condemned the Chinese government of state-sanctioned illegal organ harvesting, and House Resolution 343 unanimously signed by all, I think, all except for one congressional member, 2016.
so even after
That's just-
that, the other media didn't really, they did like one paragraph on it and then stated the Chinese government position, which is like, these are
Which is like,
prisoners
no,
and we're not doing it.
Whatever
Yeah,
they
so
say.
they came back like last year and said, oh, we're not doing that anymore, and we have a new donation system, and people are donating, but nobody in China will donate. I mean, Yen could tell you the reason why, right? Nobody, because of Confucius or one of the old masters.
Yes, because the Asian Chinese people, they don't believe, they very much like believe even after death, they need to reserve the whole
The
body.
body.
Yes, because they feel like this is what,
You
God.
came
you
with,
came
and
with,
you have
yeah.
to live with,
Yeah.
with that.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
spiritually or religious
much.
talking
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
is
And-
not possible.
And the
Yeah.
Chinese Red Cross did a study and tried to get donation. And they took 2 or 3 big cities in the Northeast, I mean, millions of people, and they got like, I mean, I can't remember the number, but it was less than 50 organs. It wasn't, and I think a lot
It's
of people were
nothing.
paid a year's wage if their grandfather died. And these are old, or they're very old, it was not good. So they don't have any organs.
They don't. They
They
just
don't have
doing
it.
this like
Yeah.
But they have a
I
lot of
think
prisoners of conscience.
more
in
than
that
for
Falun Gong.
money. It's just like a punishment for these people. I
It's
don't know.
kind of
It's-
like both, and
Yeah.
it's and the thing is like what we did with we reported on this and we highlighted the people that were involved,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the high up officials that were involved. We broke the story about them, and what it caused inside China was that those people didn't get to power.
Yeah.
They didn't get to, and some of them are getting punished for other reasons, corruption-related
Yeah,
reasons.
they got taken out of office.
But what they didn't get to, so some of these people that were involved in this, directly involved in this, had chances to become the president of China. and we think because of our reporting and what we did outside of China, they were not able
They
to
didn't
get
get
to those
that.
And the
positions.
Politburo
That's great.
members, every Politburo member reads the Times every single day to put on their desk. If they want to
So-
know what we're reporting.
They want to know
Yeah.
what you're saying.
They
Of
want to know the
course.
truth.
And they probably want to know the truth too, because even those guys don't know what's
Between
going on.
them.
Yeah,
Maybe their
yeah,
job next
yeah.
week, they're finished, they're out,
Yeah.
That's
being tortured.
good. They are giving you some.
Yeah, we're getting
Truth
some
will set you
from
free.
China.
That's a
definitely.
good niche out there. Yes, keep buying. Keep subscribing. So I want to know, like, when you have these news in different countries, in different languages, you take the news from those countries. I mean, they are not necessarily news from China
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
Right.
They're from all the other
Like,
countries.
do you
yeah.
have any Spanish, for example?
Spanish, we have
Spanish.
I'm sure we have digital. I'm not
Digital?
sure if we have. I will get back to you
Maybe it
on
could
that.
be
I
like
don't
a
think we have
sister,
the paper.
kind of sister
Sister.
radio
Yeah.
station with you, or maybe
Okay.
when Leanne can collaborate on that with you guys or something.
Of course, yeah. That will be
'Cause
that
we're
will be
doing
amazing.
similar
'Cause
things. You know.
yeah, I mean, just come here. I'm seriously, I'm gonna be your subscriber number 1. I'm gonna
Great.
start putting out these news like
Good
every time
paper.
we can,
Good.
because
Awesome.
that's great. Sometimes we don't have access to real news because
Yeah.
we are here talking about transformation, about good things for the world, and then the news that we get is the ones that are there.
How about the
So,
Spanish news? Is that La Figaro? Is that a newspaper? I think.
Figueroa?
Is that a good news? Are they
I
normal?
don't
like,
really know.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can just read this one and translate for our
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
people.
great.
So, yeah,
That would be
It
great.
comes out once a week. We can
that
make sure
would
you
be
get the paper
amazing.
every week. No problem.
Are you against communism? I mean, like in some other country, they get like communism. You will be against that because of the China, what happens, or not really? Just like it's
we
different every
highlight
single.
so we
Good
highlight the negativity of communism.
Mhm.
And because we have seen what happens is that what we have seen is communism looks interesting from the surface, but when it's put into practice, it controls people's minds. It's about what you can say, what you can think, what you cannot think. It's very dangerous for humanity when it's put into practice. So we highlight those. we highlight those initiatives that are coming from
But
communists.
we're not against the
Against
Communist
the
Party. We're not trying to
Like if it's
overthrow or do
some-
anything for any
Yeah.
government. Just report the news the way it is.
If it
Yeah.
works somewhere else, like I don't have any example right now where it worked because
Well, it did, yeah, that's fine, but it didn't so far.
but it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Like I'm always like when there is like candidates or nominees, for presidents, and they have this kind of ideas. I'm with
platform.
them, and I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. Like we can be all the same, and we can have this and this. But then in practice, I cannot
But
tell
people
you
aren't
what-
all the same, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
People
not the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And then in practice, it's like what happens is that people try to control everybody else.
Okay.
And then it becomes like a religion that
Mhm.
doesn't believe in anything, and you have to follow the leaders.
Well, a lot of times
That's
it also
the-
believes in atheism. I mean, that's what we see in
Yeah.
the Chinese Communist Party is atheist.
I
So
think that's
That's
That's-
where,
that
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. Do you have entertainment here?
we have art,
As well, like
culture, and we
culture.
have food, and
Okay.
travel as well.
and
Okay.
Yeah, lifestyle.
the
We have a
the
lifestyle.
doctor or the medical articles are really good, and people have
Health
told
as
me
well.
because I'm a naturopathic doctor, so we try to look at
Okay.
it from more
From the
holistic.
medical.
I know Hispanic communities all want like grandmoms knew how to do the herbs, and
I
they actually
know.
use all that medicine still. So they told me those articles are very similar to that, and people really gravitate towards that. It
Okay.
exposes things about the drugs or things that we think aren't, or
So
that we
I-
know are not good. So.
I'll make the compromise that I'm gonna keep reading this and give this information every
That's
time that
great.
we have our
Thank you.
news section. So we
Thanks.
make sure we send the truth
Cool.
as well. That's the idea of to
Mhm.
share this experience with you. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here, for being a woman in your position. That's great.
Thank you, Juliana.
You want to say something to the women that are listening to us right now as a woman being part of this wonderful project?
Well, I'm so happy, working in the media, and I think that's because the media has a responsibility to the society. So, welcome to read the Epoch Times and subscribe, support us. Thank you.
Yeah. For you?
We wouldn't be able to do it without Yan.
Yes. Thank you so much for all this information. We want to know more about this. We want to have you more here. We want to do something, find a way to
Can I have a key?
Yeah, of course. I don't have one, but
Maybe I have a little office over here.
you can be in the office next door.
Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah, you can have the office here with us, with Radio Latino. Okay, something that you want to say to end this interview with?
Just know the truth, find the truth, and it will really, the old cliche is it will set you free, and Epoch Times really is helping humanity a lot, so read Epoch Times.
From the 90s, no?
Yeah.
From the 90s, you're being there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave you guys. Pues nos vamos con mucha más música. Y por supuesto que mi compromiso de traerles siempre noticias llenas de verdad va a estar presente en todas nuestras secciones de Mujeres y Yo y Radio Latino INC. Yo soy Juliana Betancourth. En controles, Jeury, Gastélum. Chao, chao. Un beso para todos. Vamos con música y seguimos aquí con muchísimo más. Chao.